So now I'm going to give a brief overview of the AL East and kind of give what I feel like the outcome will be by the end of the season. Now, looking at the AL East, there's just a lot going on with every team except for really the Blue Jays. The Blue Jays right now have been relatively quiet this offseason. They really haven't done a whole lot. But the other teams, a lot has transpired. And so I'm going to do a brief overview of all that. And if you want me to go more in depth on a team or compare two of these teams, just let me know. Send me a comment and say, hey, I want to know more about this team. I want to go more in depth on it. Just let me know and I'll do a video for you. So that's that. And so diving into this, first we're going to look at the Yankees. Okay, we'll start off with the Yankees. And in looking at the Yankees, you picked up Rafael Soriano, good guy, going to do very well for you. Hit tandem with Mariano Rivera, best tandem in all of baseball. You're telling everybody else in the AL East, you better score your runs in the first 7 innings, because otherwise you're not scoring anything. You're not going to get another run afterwards. If you're losing going into the 8th inning, you're going to lose that game. And so that's kind of a great feeling to have as a Yankee fan, knowing that your 8th and 9th inning is basically shutting down the other team. It's just 2 quick innings. Let's hurry up and get out of here and get this game won. So that's a plus for the Yankees. You also need to look at where the Yankees, they didn't really lose anybody offensively. You lost Lance Berkman, and he's not too big of a loss. And so you still got Mark Teixeira at first. You're good to go. So the Yankees are going to be fine offensively. Where the Yankees really lack right now is in the rotation. You've got CC Sabathia, who's a great ace. Now and then you got Phil Hughes, which did really well last year, but you still kind of wonder, is he going to continue that trend? Is he going to continue? He had a 4.19 ERA at last year, I think. So it's not terrible, and hopefully he can improve on that. And he still had a great win-loss record. So even though that really didn't mean much, but that's good to know that the Yankees were producing last year, and they hopefully will continue to produce this year. It's just the rotation's really unsure, because A.J. Burnett, you really don't know what you're going to get from him. Ever since the Yankees signed him, he really hasn't been anywhere near what the Yankees expected. So hopefully this will be his breakout year as a Yankee. And then your 4th and 5th guys in the rotation, who knows? That's very, very questionable. So because of the Yankees' rotation questions, it really bumps them down. So when you go and look at the Red Sox, on the other hand, last year the Red Sox had injuries galore. It seemed like everybody was getting injured. It was crazy. But now this year they're healthy again. They're ready to go. They're ready to start 2011. And not only are they healthy, they just picked up Carl Crawford and Adrian Gonzalez. That's huge. I mean, that makes them automatically a team to beat. It automatically makes them the AL team to beat just because they picked up those 2 guys right there. I mean, and their bullpen is going to be good. Their rotation is going to be great. Boston Red Sox, hands down, number 1. And they will be number 1 in this division for 2011. It'll happen. Unless the Yankees or the Orioles or somebody can really surprise the heck out of everybody, or maybe they can get a really good trade in or something, I just don't see anybody overtaking the Boston Red Sox the way they have and the way they're built. So, and that's Red Sox number 1, guaranteed. Now really gets interesting is when you look at the Orioles. As I discussed in an earlier video, that they picked up Derek Lee, they picked up Mark Reynolds, not to mention J.J. Hardy, shortstop. They've got good guys and they got a pretty good infield right now. And so they got a little bit more pop in their bat, when picking up Mark Reynolds and you're getting Derek Lee. You're adding a little bit more offense there. Not to mention, your rotation's not too bad at all. And neither is their bullpen. They have they're decent. They're okay when it comes to pitching. They're not great, but they've got a group of guys that really could surprise you in how well they do. And so I think the Orioles really, with their pickups and with guys like Wieters and him growing as a catcher, they really have potential to really break out in the AL East this year and maybe fight for that 2nd spot. Not quite first, no, not near first, but maybe for that second spot, they may do very well this year, especially when you look at Buck Showalter and what he did last year. I mean, the Orioles are doing terrible, and then all of a sudden, here comes Buck Showalter, and the Orioles started to get things turned around. You know, they started to win games, even though it was a lost cause and they weren't going to make it to the playoffs whatsoever. They still were winning games, and they still were, you know, going with Buck Showalter and what he was trying to do. And so that really is really going to help them in 2011, and they're going to do well, better than what most people expect. And now, when you look at the Blue Jays, all around, they're about the same. You know, not a whole lot's really happened with the Blue Jays. They are kind of interested in Manny Ramirez right now. That could be something that formulates in the near future. I don't know. I don't know how serious they really are about that, but they have some seriousness. They are kind of looking a little bit for a DH. But they really didn't do much. Scott Downs is away from them now. They kind of stepped down a little bit there, but Blue Jays are always this team that they're always kind of contending a little bit. They're always kind of like on the bubble as a contender. It seems like no matter who's on the team, you know, you lose Doc Holliday and they still are kind of a bubble contender. So who knows what they're going to do. I don't expect them to do very, very well. I expect them this coming year to be last in the division right now. That's where I kind of expect them to be, unless they surprise me with some off-season signings or maybe a trade or something. Right now, they expect them to be last. Yeah. I don't expect Jose Bautista to go off and hit 50-something home runs again this year. The fact that he did that in the first place, I really kind of questioned it a little bit, you know, because considering he's never really been a consistent 20 home run hitter, you know, he's only hit 20-something home runs, maybe 1-2 times in his career. You know, he hasn't really done it a whole lot at all. And so for him to all of a sudden hit 50 home runs, I really question that a little bit. But you know, that was his great breakout year. Who knows? But I don't expect him to continue that. I expect him to do more kind of like an Adrian Beltre and kind of drop off in home runs, like Beltre did in 2004 when he had those 48 home runs, and then the next year he just kind of dropped off and only got like 20-something. So, yeah, that's kind of what I expect Batista to do. So that's really gonna bring the Blue Jays down some. So, but you never know. Last year they hit a ton of home runs. So maybe they can figure something out. Who knows? But as of right now, as it stands, I expect that the Boston Red Sox right now by a good margin will be number one. They will be number one, hands down. That's that. And then it becomes really watered down, especially now that you look at the Rays. The Rays, you know, if the Rays would have kept the same team they had last year, they would have had a shot, you know. They would have definitely had a good shot. But, you know, now you're talking about no longer having Rafael Soriano. He's gone. Matt Garza, he's gone. I mean, that's two guys. Whoop, where'd they go? Gone. You know, now you're also missing Carl Crawford. You know, you're also missing Joaquin Benoit. So you're missing your closer that had 45 saves. You're missing Joaquin Benoit, one of your best, like, reliever. You know, you're missing Carl Crawford, who is your guy that had more stolen bases, that could hit very well. He's one of your best offensive guys. You know, you're missing one of your best outfielders. They lost a lot. But thankfully, the Rays, they do get another first-round pick. That'll help them out in the future. And they do still, you got to remember, it's the Rays here. They still have a ton of talent on that team. You know, you still got a lot of, like, Price is still there. You know, guys like him and other guys like Evan Longoria is still there. B.J. Upton, still there. You know, they still got some of these people in place that they can still kind of compete. You know, they still got the pieces to be able to do that, but they're not going to compete against Boston. And they may compete for second. But so looking back at the AL East, exactly kind of what I feel is going to be the outcome. It'll be Boston by far. Then it's almost as if you would say a tie for the others. It's really kind of up in the air. But if the Yankees are to shore up their rotation, which I'm sure they will make a trade or something of that nature, or try to experiment with Joba Chamberlain. But I feel if the Yankees can shore up their rotation just a little bit, they'll be second. Definitely. If not, then it's the Orioles that'll be second. And then it'll be the Rays at third. Unless it's a really complicated matter. AL East is just extremely competitive. So I'm gonna go here. Here's what I'm gonna go with. I'm gonna go a little off the wall, but hey, this could be what happens. Okay, right now Boston Orioles will be second. Orioles will be second. Then it will be the Yankees, and then it'll be the Rays, and then it'll be the Blue Jays. So Boston, Orioles, Yankees, Rays, Blue Jays. That's how it'll turn out. Orioles, I think, will surprise some people. They're going to be the Padres this year. They just won't be good enough to overcome the Red Sox. And, I'm wearing a Rangers shirt right now. I have to open up. I have to watch the Rangers open up for Boston. Okay? 2 months ago, I would have been excited to watch the Rangers, play Boston. I'd have been like, sweet, it's going to be a great game. The Rangers the Rangers may have a good shot. Now I'm looking at it going, oh, bleep. Rangers may go on a 3-game loss streak to start off the season. I mean, I feel Boston could be that good. I don't know if they're quite Phillies caliber yet, but they're really, really close. So we'll see what happens in 2011, but that's how I feel the AL East will shape out, and who knows? It could be really, really, really interesting coming up here soon when the season starts. So we'll see what happens, and that's all for now from the Baseball Time.